Jessica from this year's LTP class. So I'll give her the floor to introduce herself, where she's from, and what her experience has been like. So Jessica, when you're ready.
Hi, it's nice to see everybody. I'm sorry that it can't be in person, but my name is Jessie Kazuba, and I'm part of the LTP class of 2020. So I felt like there are probably a million things that I could share about LTP this year. It's just been an incredible experience for me. I am originally from New York, so I am a York transplant, and so that aspect of being in the LTP has been huge for me, but I kind of chose to focus on something a little bit different on the leadership aspect. So this year, my year in leadership training program was one of the hardest years of my life for personal reasons. And had I realized prior what I would be dealing with, I most likely would actually have postponed until another year, as I had reached out to my HR department to see if this was something that I could participate in before I realized how much my life was about to change. But I'm so glad that I did not postpone it, as LTP has just made such a huge impact on my life, and I'm so happy to share that with you all. So at the time that I signed up for LTP, I was just less than 1 year into a management position, for which I received a promotion from teammate to manager. So that was just an interesting dynamic and something that had never happened to me before, and I was excited and already had some leadership skills and experience, but definitely very much green to leading a team in that type of capacity. And I also very much lacked the confidence needed to excel in my role. So that's kind of what intrigued me the most about LTP. But just a few months prior to the start of LTP, I started on my own personal path to sobriety from alcohol, which opened me up to pent-up anxiety and depression that I finally had to deal with. And at the time of opening retreat, I was having 5 or 6 anxiety attacks per day. I was leaving work early or closing, or not early, but leaving work for my lunch break or closing my door on my lunch break and crying in my car or office and wondering how I was going to make it through the day. So you can imagine the anxiety as opening retreat approached for me. Everything about me felt like it screamed not comfortable in my own skin. And I honestly was contemplating, like, can I get out of this? Like, what am I gonna do? But I did it. I walked in the room and there were assigned seats and I was like, amen. I just scrambled to my seat and quickly sat down. I felt like that was completed, but now to get through the rest of the weekend or the year. But it was like Craig and the leaders at Leadership York understood my language at the time, because everything was so organized and so planned out throughout the whole year. Like, I didn't need to think, and that continued and became a pattern throughout the whole year. They were so focused on us and our growth as people, as leaders, and as members of our community, that the planning and the logistics were so well thought out that we never had to worry about that. All we had to think about was just the agenda and our own growth. Craig and Wilda and the entire class really quickly became safe people that I felt comfortable with, and that I really truly think the whole class felt comfortable with each other. We got to know each other and have important conversations with each other about issues that affect our community. We got to learn from each other. We got to see how much York County has to offer, which, like I said, for me, being a transplant, I had lived in York County for 10 years, but I didn't know York County. So that piece was huge for me. And where there's still so much more room to grow in York County. We had room to be vulnerable with each other and honest about our thoughts and feelings in small and large groups. And we got to learn about our own leadership styles and really dive deep into other leadership qualities too. And LTP became something I really looked forward to. And sometime throughout the year, something really changed in me, the one who was riddled with anxiety, who might blow over if you looked at me a little too long. The one who I'm not quite sure was actually really ready for a management position at the time, but someone took a chance on me. The same me during the hardest year of my life. I was dealing with the death of 5 friends and family members, dealing with panic and anxiety and depression, and new in my sobriety, new to managing a team. That same one, I started to say things. Then I started to say a lot of things. And it was like hard to get me to stop saying things. But I started to hold myself differently. Maybe it was just more confidently. I think the first time I said something in a large group, I maybe said 5 words, but I felt so bold. But it gave me permission to share my thoughts more, both at LTP and professionally. And then the more I shared my thoughts, the more confident I became, and the more I could develop other areas of my leadership that really needed developed. So mid to end of the year, a colleague looked at me and said, I don't know if it's that leadership group or what, but I've noticed a big change in you. And she was so right. And it was the leadership group. It was LTP. I give all the credit to LTP. And just before graduation, our class for LTP, we were struck with COVID and the whole world shut down, as we're all still dealing with. And my team at work continued to function in a different capacity, just like I'm sure all of yours, using technology to serve our clients. And while my team was faced with so much uncertainty, as everybody was, they fully trusted in me as their leader and they sprung to action. They didn't miss a beat at all in serving their clients and our community. And they strived so hard to meet their clients that they had actually and continue to have exceeded their goals. They've had more visits than in-person visits with their clients than they had pre-COVID, which just makes me so proud of as their leader. I've had to adapt my once really green, and I'm still growing, leadership style, and have received so much positive feedback from my team about their feelings of support from me. Just last week, one of the nurses sent me a message and just said, I just want to let you know you're a really awesome leader of our team and we love you. And I'm just so forever grateful for the opportunity. And I'm so grateful that the opportunity came forth at the time that it did for me for LTP, because without LTP, this past year could have been a recipe for total disaster for me as a leader, as a professional. And instead, this past year was one of so much growth for me. I wish that I could take the class over and over and over again, because I truly believe that there is so much for any professional at any level to take away and grow from. I think that I could take it a million times and grow in a million different ways every single time. So thank you so much for taking some time to hear about my experience, and thank you to Craig and Wilda and everyone at Leadership York for such an incredible program. I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate everything that it's done for me, and I'm excited to keep learning and keep growing and keep pulling from some of the things that I've learned. So thank you.